You are listening to the BU Podcast with Michael Arrington. We discuss social justice, childhood trauma, current events, hip-hop, and so much more. Now, here's your host, Michael Arrington.
Yo, what's good, y'all? It's your man, Mike Arrington, man. BU Podcast. It's one of my quick takes. So, I was reminded of a story that I posted on Instagram, maybe, or Facebook, maybe about a year or so ago. The basis of the post was back when I was in junior high school, 7th grade. I got into a lot of trouble. So, I was suspended so many times where I think I missed some 38 days of school because of suspensions, to the point to where I was held back and I had to do 7th grade all over again. How embarrassing that was, the time my dean had told me I'd be lucky if I'd be dead by the time I was 18. And I remember hearing that in the moment. I was already angry, so I didn't really hear it. Right, it wasn't until maybe days later where I felt like that it really started to resonate with me. But the basis of this take is, why would an adult tell a child that? I had to be 12, 13 years old at the time. I was getting in trouble for stupid stuff, right? We had a rule to where you get 3 tardies, you get suspended. So I was tardy a lot, kind of on purpose. I talked back a lot to teachers or whatever. I didn't really stand for foolishness from adults in that moment, right? But a lot of it, when I look back on it now, it was really me crying out, right? It was, my parents were separated at the time, and I really didn't know it, but my mom wasn't around, right? And I was a mama's boy, so, and I didn't think my dad liked me at the time, right? Some of the things he would call me, some of the things how he would treat me, wasn't around much, and it wasn't dismissive, not being around, I don't want to take care of my kids thing. It was, he worked odd hours because he was a sheriff, so he worked 2 to 10, 6 to 2, he did a lot of overtime. And things of that nature, man. Probably my mom wasn't around, so he had to kind of supplement the income. But these were things he never told me, so I just know that he wasn't around a lot. And so I had to kind of fend for myself through navigating through that level of that feeling and that isolation, right? And so when you become, back then, junior high was 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. And so when you become in middle school, what they call it now, junior high, what they called it then, it's kind of when you find who you are or you lose who you are, right? Because back then, you kind of went to school with the kids in your neighborhood, right? So you went to elementary school with the kids who lived around the elementary school too. So you guys played at the park. You guys were on the same t-ball team, basketball teams, whatever, right? You were in the Boy Scouts together because everything was kind of centrally located in that neighborhood. And so what happens, though, when you go to junior high school or middle school, it kind of broadens out because there's only but so many middle schools in said city, right? So in my city, there was, maybe 3 or 4, right? And so everybody that was in my neighborhood or the surrounding neighborhoods went to the junior high school that I went to. So it kind of opens up to more kids in the city. And so the kids you used to hang out with 3rd, 4th grade, you kind of lose contact with because you kind of start going into your own separate tribes or depending on what you were into, right? And so because I was a jock, I was always kind of with the jocks more or less, or, trying to be with the cool kids anyway. And so that transition was tough. And I was a, kind of a short kid. I used to get picked on a lot, and so what I started doing when I got to junior high school was I would just start agitating the bully, right? I was kind of my thing. So if an older kid had said some snarky remark, I'd probably shoot something back to him and I would push him. Or I would wait till somebody came, like one of the principals or teachers came around, and I would like go at them like I was going to hit them, or I push them or throw something at them and get in trouble. And so then what it did was protect me from being bullied, right? So it was kind of a coy way to shield myself from being bullied, and I became the aggressor, right? And I would strategically do it when I knew I didn't really have to fight, but it was always, apparent that I didn't care who was around, so it wasn't one of those things. So one of the times I got suspended in the 7th grade, a kid had said something to me, had disrespected me, had said something about me. I can't remember what it was, but I remember being really upset and really embarrassed. I think he said it to a girl. And so he was like, watch, 3 o'clock, I'm going to beat you up or something like that. So I think I was going to the bathroom or something with a hall pass, and I went past the class he was in. So I passed his class, I came right back, I ran in there and sucker punched him, cold cocked him, right? Got suspended 3 days, whatever the case may be. And because my dad wasn't home, I didn't really have to deal with the consequences of those suspensions, right? So it was always a matter of me hiding the mail when it got home, or, nobody ever takes the call because nobody was home. So back then we had an answering machine, so I would erase the answering machine and do those things, right? But what I was dealing with, though, was a lot of stuff that happened to me early on. It was a lot of childhood trauma that I was dealing with that I'll tap into in other episodes. But I was dealing with a lot of that, dealing with the whole, my mom's not around thing, dealing with the whole, I don't think my dad really likes me, dealing with trying to find out who I was. And so I was lashing out. I was crying out. And so that's part of the connection that I have to kids and the capacity that I work in the schools now. So, but I said that to say that I was really crying out and I got in trouble. I got held back. And you would think that being held back, coming back the next year, I'd be a little better at doing the 7th grade all over again. But actually I did worse. My grades were worse. And it wasn't that I wasn't a smart kid. I was really crying out, man. I was really looking for somebody to just kind of grab my hand, man, and kind of talk me through some of this stuff. And so it kind of finally, I got to the point to where I think I got suspended again, 7th grade, and then they were talking about expulsion. So I got to the expulsion. I remember talking to my counselor. It was an older black lady, and she kind of sat me down and she was like, look, I know you better than this. You used to be a good kid. I don't know what's going on, but if you keep it up one more time, I'm going to have to expel you. You have to go to a whole new school district. So for whatever reason, that frightened me, right? And so you would think I would probably want to go because I was embarrassed, right? But I was around all the kids that I knew. And so even the kids that were in the younger grade who are now in the 7th grade for the first time and me being the second, I was kind of closer to those kids anyway, right? And so what ended up happening was I finally kind of got through 7th grade, then got to 8th grade, started to really make sense, man. I had it, started clicking, grades started getting better. And by 9th grade, I became on the student council and things kind of turned around, whatever. So, but long story short, though, the dean that told me that I wasn't, I would be lucky to be dead when I was 18, I ended up running into him years later when I used to work for the LA Unified School District. And I went to the credit union and I saw him in there. This time I'm about 24, right? And I think I was a para-ed at the time. I think I was working as a special ed aide at the time in Henry Clay Middle School. And I ran into him and I saw him. And in that moment, it was like a sense of pride, like I proved him wrong. But like in that moment too, I also felt sorry for him. Because like, as somebody that is now working with kids, I can't believe that you made your mouth to make those words and tell that to a kid, right? I can see you telling that to one of your colleagues because I was just a jerk. But how he said what he said and the vigor in which he said it, it was really impactful for me. And so when I saw him, I went up to him and I asked him if he remembered who I was. He said no. And then I gave him his quote back. I was like, you told me that I would be lucky to be dead when I was 18. Well, I'm 24 now. I work for the school board too. I'm cashing checks like you. So thank you. And then I walked out, right? And so I don't know how he felt in that moment. And that had to be, I don't know, 1998, 1999, something like that. So fast forward to about maybe 20 some odd years later. It's like 2017, and this dean's daughter found me on social media, and she sent me this message. I posted this comment, or posted that comment, and she found it and responded back, and she said, I was looking in my dad's diary. He wrote a lot of stuff before he passed away, and he mentioned you in it, but he didn't remember your name. He just remembered that he had said that, and then he remembered that he ran into you at the credit union. And she felt like it was kind of her duty to kind of make amends to that for her father, right? And so we had a long conversation. She had told me all about how that last meeting with him really affected him. And he took it to his grave. Like, he talked about it often. He felt horrible about it. And he was just really, really struggling with the fact that he had told a child that, right? And so by this time, I had long since gotten over it. And it was kind of good to interact with her and kind of know that at least he felt bad about it, right? But the moral of the story is that you have to be careful with what you tell children, right? It could have very much had an adverse effect on me. It could have very well been came to fruition. And so the fact that it didn't, the fact that I'm kind of doing the work that I'm doing now, solidifies that I'm trying to really embody the whole comment, the whole statement, be better, not bitter, right? I try not to be bitter at the things that was dealt to me in this childhood of mine or in this life of mine, right? Not everything was all rosy great, right? And I wasn't dealt bad cards, but some of the cards I did have were just trumped by traumatic events, or people who placed trauma upon me. So with that said, though, for those who get a chance to listen to this or get a chance to share this with somebody, just know that it's not the end when somebody tells you something bad. It's not the end when you're going through a bad patch. It's when you're young, you just kind of go through things and you learn things. And sometimes you got to learn things the hard way. And unfortunately, I learned a lot of lessons the hard way. And so here I am as an adult trying to embody hope in children because I see them in me. And so for every child that I've ever helped, they really don't know that they're the ones helping me. So for me, helping children is therapeutic for the child that's in me. And so I say that to say that everything you want in this life as far as success is concerned is on the other side of hard. So just know that. And if you know that, you can be better, not bitter. This is the BU Podcast. Hot take. Get at your boy, Mike Arrington. Easy.
You are listening to the BU Podcast with Michael Arrington.